Half man, half wolf, total terror. Bad Moon, directed by Eric Red, is an inexcusably underrated 90s horror film that also happens to be one of the best werewolf movies ever made. And I do not say that lightly. I am a huge fan of The Howling. I am a huge fan of An American Werewolf in London. I love Silver Bullet, I love Dog Soldiers, I love Late Phases, and I love The Wolfmans, both of them. But Bad Moon isn't necessarily the werewolf movie that you would expect. It has a certain charm that makes it so good. And what is that charm? Well, it's a werewolf movie where the main protagonist is a dog. Thor is a German shepherd, and he belongs to a typical suburban family who's wise, trustworthy, and tirelessly devoted to his human pack. Then, Uncle Ted comes to live with Thor's owners, and the terror begins because Ted is no longer fully human. In fact, he has something deep within him, and that's a werewolf. And Thor can detect the bad thing lurking inside Uncle Ted. And only Thor can sense the horror that he is helpless to communicate. And only Thor can defeat this horror. That in itself makes this a guilty pleasure. I don't give a fuck. I was going through a werewolf kick when I first saw this a couple years ago. And as I was watching them, this movie was recommended. And lo and behold, I find out that this German Shepherd is the main character. I was absolutely excited. The pacing is nice and tight. It's got a nice woodsy, rural, suburban area. Uncle Ted can't really act to save his life, but there's some good moments in here. Mariel Hemingway does a great job during the final chase scene. But again, the real star of this movie is Thor. That dog acts his fucking ass off. There are so many scenes where the dog and Uncle Ted have these intense stare downs. There's no voiceover. There's no narration for this dog. It's all just keen looks, growls, and just kind of awkward silence. But it works, and I'm so surprised that it does. I mean, there are so many wonderful moments in this, specifically when he escapes the pound to go save the family. And then that last scene where he's fighting the werewolf in a one-on-one fight, and he throws himself at him, both of them falling outside the second-story window. It's something that you have to watch. Yes, this movie has a lot of problems, but it's also a movie that goes the extra mile with the gore. When a werewolf comes at you to bite you, he doesn't just bite you, he tears you apart. So the blood is pretty refreshing in this. And the werewolf looks great, from costume to animatronic form. There's some solid practical effects throughout. The werewolf design is actually really cool. And I think showcasing him fighting the dog is something that is completely unexpected. I adore how Bad Moon is pretty much 80 minutes of an extremely good boy protecting his humans from a werewolf. That in itself, I think, makes this movie worth watching.